Joining us now to break down the controversy behind the authenticity of these documents is Thomas Rid, a professor of strategic studies at Johns Hopkins University and the author of the book Active Measures that covers the history of disinformation. So Thomas, it's a real pleasure to have you on the program today because I was just seeing that 4 years ago from this day, you wrote an investigative piece in Esquire that laid out how the GRU hacked John Podesta's emails. And now here we are in 2020, almost revisiting a similar topic. And I think that it's important to note that the reason why many institutions, whether it be in the media, tech, politicians, whatever it may be, are hesitant to cover this information is because of a lot of the parallels that they are seeing from back in 2016. So can you help us explain those parallels?
Yeah, so important to understand, in 2016, we have overwhelming evidence that Russian intelligence interfered in the 2016 election. We have no good evidence that that interference actually changed the outcome of the election. I'm studying this information based on evidence and facts, forensics and documents. And so there is the biggest contrast to 2016. We don't have good evidence here to point, in the case of the Hunter Biden story in the New York Post, to clearly point to some form of disinformation operation. We don't have that evidence. But we have a couple of indicators that make the story look suspicious. And the only honest and sober response right now is to admit that we can neither exclude that it's disinformation nor, in fact, say that it's disinformation. Yeah.
And I think one of the things that plays into that is the idea that, for example, we have PDF images of the emails in question. We don't necessarily have our own access to the emails themselves or to the accounts that they were sent on, anything like that. We don't even necessarily have the hard drive that these documents are on. So essentially, we are getting a visual representation that doesn't have much of the history, that being the metadata behind it, that could give us a better understanding of where they came from, when they were sent, things of that nature. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, in sharp contrast to 2016, we don't really have any forensic artifacts that we can start pulling. So, for example, in 2016, it was possible to find indications that GRU, Russian military intelligence, had hacked John Podesta and other targets. And the evidence for that was powerful. Here, we don't have any of that. We have the opposite. We have a media organization that apparently tried to hide the original data and instead gave us PDF printouts. And in one case, a photo of an email that was created with Photoshop the day before. I'm not saying it was Photoshop, but I'm saying it's difficult to actually look at the originals because we don't have those originals here.
And to be clear, the Photoshop element, too, that could just be an editorial decision in order to make it more visibly appealing or whatever it may be for the New York Post. Once again, not saying anything nefarious is necessarily taking happen, but I think that you brought up an interesting point before that we don't necessarily have any information right now to tie this to Russian disinformation, as you were saying. I know that's a claim that, for example, Representative Adam Schiff has made this week, and it was rebuked by DNA Jen Ratcliffe, who said there is no information, no intelligence that has suggested that up to this point. Do you agree with that assessment?
We have a number of intelligence officials who stepped forward saying that this looks like Russian disinformation. But I would be cautious even there. Representative Schiff nor the Director of National Intelligence should stick their neck out too far at this stage because we don't have enough information. We do have information, however, that some of the files are accurate. It appears that some emails are genuine and have been in fact confirmed. Fox News confirmed one. It appears that the pictures, that we can see that in the metadata, the actual pictures of Hunter Biden appear to be genuine as well. But I just would caution here, it is common tradecraft, common practice that you use a lot of authentic files and blend in a couple of fakes, a couple of forgeries, in order to give those forgeries more credibility. That is, the fact that we are looking at real as well as potentially forged emails is in fact what you would expect based on this history.
And that's what makes these big type of document dumps, if you will, a little bit more hard to verify, correct? The fact that there's, I believe when it comes to this most recent hard drive, I thought there was 40,000 documents, maybe 1,000 pictures, something like that. So there is a lot of information to go through when we're trying to break down and really verify every single thing. Is that correct?
It's very difficult to verify every single thing, but as long as we have the suspicion that this could be an intelligence operation, and look at the way the laptop was surfaced, is the technical term, in this computer repair store in Wilmington. There's so many open questions. I mean, think about it. If your father is about to announce a run for the presidency, Are you going to a computer repair shop with a Beau Biden Foundation sticker on your computer, sexually explicit material sitting on the desktop, and emails that you know will be compromising to your father? I mean, it just stretches the imagination that somebody, even if drunk, if that's confirmed, would do something that unwise. So many open questions here.
No, and I think that is the reason why there is so much, I guess, skepticism behind some of these claims, because it does sound like something from a movie, if you will. I mean, the idea that it's going to this repair shop and then it was given to the FBI, and we do know now, at least according to documents obtained by Fox News, that the FBI did subpoena this repair shop owner to try to get more information about how he got it. But I think that there's something else that I saw on your Twitter thread that I thought was very well detailing all of these things that are taking place, and I advise all of our viewers to check it out as well, because for a layperson like me, it really laid it out very clearly. But you point out that if this was a foreign intelligence operation, there's one major flaw, and it's the idea that they gave too much power to the people that they were trying to target, in the sense that, for example, this could either be confirmed by presenting some of these emails, or it could be completely refuted if Hunter Biden were to come forward and provide perhaps access to his own emails. Is that correct?
In principle, that is correct, and we have historical precedents for this kind of error, that one individual, by stepping forward. But here, I think it's important to understand, people are asking, where is Hunter? Why is the campaign not stepping forward and calling this for what it is? And the answer is, if it is a sophisticated, smear campaign or operation, either by domestic actors or foreign actors, then, of course, as soon as you start getting into that conversation, this picture is real, but this email is not real, then that's a losing battle for the campaign, because they will have to then go through those thousands of emails and start to look at every single one and authenticate every single one. And that's a no-go. So they don't want to give more oxygen to the story, and I think I can understand that position. It's not a story that is politically really that important. I mean, most people don't really care about that computer and what's on it.
No, and I think, too, that many of the lessons that people did learn from 2016 are applying to 2020 is the way that information was dripped in the days leading up to the election. It did control the news cycle, and I think that is one part, especially with our emerging media nowadays. I mean, if you're able to control a news cycle, that's almost better than getting campaign ads out there or anything like that, because in a sense, you are controlling the narrative going up to the final days of that race. So from here, I just want to ask you before I let you go, I know you're a very busy man, what do you think happens from here? Do you think that we don't get verification or anything like that leading up to November 3rd? Do you think that this is a story that goes away? What do you think happens from here?
I think the FBI and the intelligence community have certainly learned the lesson from 2016 that they don't want to get both hands into the political meat grinder just days or weeks before the election. So I think it's unlikely that we will learn the full story anytime soon, which means let's be very, very careful. Let's not become useful idiots by either, overstating how powerful this alleged disinformation operation is, which I'm not sure it is one in the first place, or by just running with a story and making it into a big scandal, which it really isn't. We have to be careful here right now. We're facing a difficult moment. We shouldn't try to blame domestic problems here in the US on foreign interference. That's what's happening in countries like Russia itself.
No, and I think that's something, too, that we've seen happening all around the world. I mean, we saw it in France. We see it leading up to the Brexit decision. I believe there were some allegations of that taking place as well. And as you've laid out, 2016, too. So I think it's a good lesson for everybody. I mean, it's easier said than done, I guess, sometimes to make sure you verify all information before reporting on it, things of that nature. But I think it is good advice that every American can take forward if they do want to be educated going into a big race such as the one we're about to approach. But Thomas Rid, I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight, breaking down this very complicated issue. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.